you're ready. You want to bring that closer to you?
Is that closer? Is that
Yeah, I
fine?
think that's good. That's perfect.
Alrighty.
Yes, don't kiss the microphone, but
Okay. I'll try not to. It's very tempting.
okay.
Not in the mood.
You'd prefer to perform in front of the camera.
Perform. Yes, indeed.
I haven't done an intro in a long time, so this is literally just me winging it off. Hey everyone, welcome to the Darkskins Podcast. I am Sarah, your host, and I'm joined here with Tarang. Today's podcast is going to be quite interesting. So in actual fact, I'll just ask you to kind of introduce yourself a little bit so everyone can know you.
All right. Well, my name's Tarang. I am an open-minded individual and probably very curious about a lot of things. I consider myself a hip-hop head. Sporty, but I don't know. I just like talking about things, man, and that's why I'm here.
Nice. That's kind of short and sweet, like hip hop head, sporty, open-minded. Nice.
Yeah, that's a summary.
That is cool. Nice. All right. So today's podcast, we're going to be focusing on the topic of religion. In actual fact, this was Tarang's idea. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Did you want to share your a few, I guess, things that were on your mind before we get started? And
not really. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't say solely religion, but I think religion in itself is not based on that very sole definition of what a religion is, but it's kind of like a subtopic of what the broader topic of human thinking and human logic is. So in a way, yes, it's a topic, but I guess it dives into a lot of things, and a lot of topics are linked. So that's what I'm kind of here to talk about, I guess. But
nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, that's cool. I'm definitely happy to have this conversation with you. And I mean, the only disclaimer that I have is that I'm not an expert in religion in general.
Neither am I.
I think just consider us as two people who are interested in this conversation and just kind of like pick our brains and just have a conversation. So
have a nice discussion.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Okay. So to get started, or just so you get a bit of context, we'll be asking each other about 5 questions each through this time. So who wants to go first?
You, please.
Me?
Yes.
All right. Oh dear. I'm now in the hot seat. Okay. So the question that I have for you is, how would you define religion?
Very good question. I think if it has sort of like a historical literature around it and a core belief, and kind of set values around how an individual should live their life and have a lifestyle, then for me that is precedent for a religion. Not so much on like what a lot of religions have is like this overarching figure and what this god or the spiritual person had this way of living, they did this, and then that sets the thing for individuals. So not necessarily that, but if there's literature, there's belief, there's set values, then I think that's, in a way, that's a religion.
So, okay, I think I understand a little bit what you mean, but the beginning part is the part that I'm a bit confused about. So historical belief is that
literature.
Literature.
So
okay.
I think a lot of religions have like literature tracing back. I mean,
okay.
yeah. So, I mean, I can't speak on a lot of religions, but if you think Christianity, the Bible, what's the the Muslim.
The Quran.
Yeah, the Quran.
Yeah.
So I mean, literature is a good way of measuring, like, or like historically telling what these values were for, like, and what they meant, you know?
I see. Yeah. I find that quite interesting. Okay, cool. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why? What do you kind of?
I think the thing that I find interesting about that is like a lot of those religions do believe in a god. So I'm like, I can understand the historical literature part, but it's almost like it's not mutually exclusive when we're I'm just thinking about how you see religion in general, the definition.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, I guess, I kind of like, I actually googled this up. I was like, how do you define religion?
Yeah, it's a very, like, we don't think about it, you know?
No, we don't.
We're just like, oh yeah, that's a religion. Well, what is a religion?
In my in my opinion, I think that there is no like agreed upon definition yet. But yeah,
Fair.
yeah, but when I googled it up, this is what came up in Google. It said the belief in and worship of a superhuman controlling power, especially a personal god or gods. And I think that's kind of what you were alluding to. Like, it's not really that.
But yeah, I feel like it doesn't have to be that. Do you know what I mean?
I see.
What I was saying was, it doesn't have to be you worshipping a superhuman. I mean, this is like with Christianity, like people believe Jesus was a real person, and like, you know, historically there is, I mean, we can't go that far back, but like from what we know, that like the stories that were told and passed down, like this guy was very much a real person. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I can see what you mean. Yeah.
like people believe these were real humans, and like in itself, we're storytellers, and that way, like, then anything could be a religion, like down the line. You know what I mean? Like if you telling a good enough story in a way.
That is if you believe that religion is believing in historical texts, then yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then yes. Yeah. But as for me, I think, like, from my perspective, I don't think religion is just having
A set,
like
a set figure or anything.
yeah, it's not just like believing or devoting yourself to a god that you believe in, but I think like my view is actually from a Christian perspective, but it's sort of in line with what you were saying, because there is a verse that kind of says pure religion is like pure religion before God is visiting the orphans, widows in their affliction, and to keep oneself unstained from the world. So guarding people against like the corruptness in this world. So it's more than just, I think, believing in or devoting to a god, but it's more like
The values.
yeah, values, but it's more practical. So you're like, you're doing the doing as opposed to like speaking or just believing in that.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm
No, it makes
making
sense because every religion has a way of operating. You know, it's like it's not enough to go by words alone of a religion. You know, you need actions to be like, you know, I believe this because, you know, it speaks to my soul, or it speaks to what I want to do, and by doing this, I'm kind of practicing my belief.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Now that we have an understanding of each other's perspectives. Yeah, it's quite interesting. I don't know. Did you have anything else to add to that, or?
I think I was gonna say, like, people don't like go all the way in a religion, and like, I know some people who are like half. I wouldn't say they're half Christian, but like, do you know what I mean? They're like not.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm full Christian. I don't do this, and this. You know, they say I still believe in God, but I drink and I do this and I do that. I mean, I guess that's fine, but like I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? Like,
I personally don't think it's fine. You're either a Christian or you're not. Period. And I think like there's this popular saying in the Bible that says like you shall know them by their fruits. So if they're bearing fruits of the fruits of the things that God wants us to have, then I would say that that's evidence that they are living out the Christian faith. But if they are not, then I would question their intentions. Is it that they are struggling in this area and they need help? Or is it that they're willingly choosing to disobey? In that case, do they really love God? That's the question. So it's a bit
do you
different.
not think it could be balanced, that they love God, but they also love the way they want to live their life? You know?
You can't have both. So I feel like the reason why I'm saying that is because Jesus said, if you love me, you will obey my commandments. And so if they're choosing to live a life, if the way that they choose to live their life is in line with the things of God, then, and they love it, then obviously they're equal. If that makes it in term, what I mean by that is like what they've chosen to do with their life out of their own will is, I'm trying to relate it back to your question, but it's kind of gone.
Because I'm sort of trying to play like devil's advocate here. Like, say I am a Christian, but you know, what are some things, I guess, because I don't know Christianity, but what are some things that like a full devoted Christian wouldn't do? Like, say, is it like sex before marriage, drinking, that kind of thing?
Definitely sex before marriage. And is a good example of what a follower of Christ wouldn't do. But yeah, I feel like that's a topic for another conversation.
All right, yeah.
Because it's leading. Because it's I think it's
a long one.
It's a very long one.
But yeah, I'm just trying to.
If like, that's why I said it. Like, you have to evaluate the attitude of their heart.
Yeah.
Are they struggling with, you know, their sexual impulses, or is it that they're choosing to say, I do not want to follow what God has said, and I'm just going to continuously have sex before marriage? If you see the two different things, like,
but I like, just I don't know, I'm struggling to see why it can't. You know, I get that it's not fully devotion, but I think they don't have to be, like, it doesn't have to be zeros and ones. Do you know what I mean?
I'm trying to think of an example.
Yeah, like, I don't know. It's just like, I think they can still follow the values, but they don't have to fully believe everything. Do you know what I mean?
A little bit. Like, I can understand a little bit of what you're saying.
It sort of feels like, I guess we'll end it on this point, but in a way it just feels like it's almost gatekeeping. Like,
when you say gatekeeping, meaning
like, oh, if you don't do this and this, that means, you know, gate closed.
You don't get?
Gate closed.
I feel like this is a new term.
Gatekeeping? You haven't heard of gatekeeping?
I don't, like, I think I've heard it, but I don't understand it.
Yeah, but it's like it's popular in like music terms, like like when a new artist blows up, like they kind of like, it's kind of gatekeeping to new fans. Like old fans will be like, oh no, this artist we can only enjoy, but you never liked them in the first place, but now you like them, so you're not welcome to the fan base.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah,
I see what you mean. I mean, we can definitely come back and
talk come back to this, but I think you understand where I'm coming from.
Yeah,
like,
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool.
Next question.
Would you like to ask your first question?
Sure. Okay, the time we have left on this earth, as we know it, human life, should we do what we can now at our own pace, or do we do all we can because we don't have time?
Ooh.
So do we pace ourselves with life, or do we just do it because we don't have much time, like 100 years max?
100 years max.
Estimate,
Sheesh.
medium, like that's like a good life, assuming you're healthy and everything.
That's a very good question. Although I feel like it's quite troublesome.
It's dangerous territory.
So, say that again.
I think you're getting a call, yeah.
Oh no.
We'll have to put a pause on this. I'll come, I think we come back and I'll ask the question again.
What the heck?
Yeah, hopefully what I was saying was getting picked up. I think I kept it okay.
I think so. You want
I'm
to
like
ask
here.
it again?
Huh?
Maybe ask again.
I will ask it. It's a tricky question.
I do want to, I do want to understand.
Alright, so starting again with my question. The time we have left. So that's the topic. Should we do what we can with the time we have left now at our own pace?
Mm-hmm.
Or do we do all we can because we don't have time?
Right.
So do we pace ourselves with the time we have, or do we be just like, F it, let's go, do what we can?
Okay, that's a very interesting question. Oh, and I feel like I don't have a complete yes or no answer because
It's tricky, right?
it is tricky. I think first of all, like no one can know when their time is going to come, like when they're going to die.
Right, yeah.
First point. And then secondly, actually it's still on the first point, because like the entire earth could maybe be destroyed
Right now.
Yeah, or individually, we don't know when we're gonna die. Maybe you might go first, or maybe I might go first. God knows.
Yeah.
So, and then I guess like I think that the reason why I say that we should probably do things in a paced manner is because we've grown up with this whole hustle culture.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I mean, you see it now.
yeah,
Like
I don't think
it's
we've
like
lost.
on 150%.
Yes, no, I totally agree. I don't think we're ever gonna get out of it. I don't know. There's probably this innate human need to just, achieve things or something.
Alright, this sort of links into my other question, but we'll come
Oh
back.
no. Okay.
Yeah.
I hope I'm not answering that too early. But yeah, so yeah, I think we should probably pace ourselves. Yeah, but when I say pace ourselves, it's like live in the moment.
Yeah, and that could be doing it 100 miles an hour. I'm not saying it should
Damn.
be,
I'm trying to imagine that.
but now, like, say, I don't know, like, it is almost circumstantial, right? It's like,
True.
if I have stage 4 cancer,
Mm-hmm.
hypothetically, touch wood, then, like, and they say, look, you only got a few months, chemo's not going to save you, whatever, then I'll be like, F it, I got a bucket list, let me complete that, you know? Like, I'm not going to pace myself.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but in some
I
sense,
mean, technically, you might.
I might be like, I just want to spend time with my family.
Yeah.
But it's different for everyone, Sometimes you just want to get things done, and knowing that you lived a fulfilled life.
That's true.
Ultimately like this question is that, is it worthwhile? Like, how are you gonna live a fulfilled life?
Mm.
And some people like are like, I don't really want to do this, but I just kind of want a calm life. Knowing what you can control, you should control, right?
Yeah. I do think, for example, if you were to complete all your bucket list and everything,
Yeah.
I think it's possible to still live in the moment, even though you're
Completing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, life is like a project, Sometimes you gotta do things in certain stages, and some things might take time.
Mm-hmm.
But if they take time, then don't worry. Like,
time is constant, but the human perspective about time is relative.
All right, Einstein.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Sorry, that wasn't really a question, to be honest. It just felt like a more of a statement. But I think we got two like sort of perspectives on that. But like some people, I don't know. Some people like to live life to the fullest.
That's true. Are you one of those people?
Sometimes. Sometimes I'm just like, you know, if I don't get this done, I feel like I never will. You know, some things are like that.
True.
But it's not always the case. You know,
Mm.
sometimes you just wanna cruise.
True. Okay, that was an interesting question.
Yeah, it's not as intense as the first one. You know.
No, it isn't. Did you have other less intense questions? Because all mine are crazy.
No, we can go back and forth. That's
Okay,
the
cool.
beauty of it. I feel like you should ask your one now because I'm calmed down.
Okay.
I am very calm.
All right. My question for you next is, what do you think makes religion so important to people?
I think this is quite easy for me. A sense of guidance. And sanity. Does it make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Like, for those who are not religious, I'm not religious per se. People can live like that normally and still feel a sense of guidance by their own values, philosophy, whatever, you know. But for some people, you know, they may feel a religion is more valuable and useful for them, like for their entire life, you know. It's like it helps them think better, it helps them act better. I don't know. I feel like that's it's quite straightforward in a way. Do you know what I mean?
Interesting. Yeah. I
Like
can
when
see
people say they found God, doesn't that imply they were lost before?
It kind of does, yeah.
So, you know, like, this is sort of like another question, but like for those who haven't quote unquote found God but are not religious and likely won't be, do you still see of them as lost?
Found God, but not religious.
No, they haven't found God. They're not religious, but they're quote unquote lost.
Wait, sorry. They haven't found God?
They haven't found God, and
They're
maybe
not religious?
they're not religious, so they're not wanting to find God.
And they're not wanting to find God.
Yeah, but are they still quote unquote lost?
It depends on how you define lost. If lost is, like, because from my perspective, I would see lost being that there is no relationship that someone has with God, and yeah, I think if that's the core thing, then yes, I would say that they are lost.
No relationship with God.
Yeah.
I guess that fits the definition. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. I see that. Yeah.
Yeah. But like, I don't see myself as lost. Do you know what I mean?
How do you define lost? Like, would you define it differently?
I guess someone who's lost is they have no sense of purpose in their life.
Ah, I see.
But for me, I see my purpose. I see like what I give back to those around me, those I even don't know. Like, I see what my legacy in a way would be, and I'm happy to live that. And I don't think a religion would necessarily like change that or like influence it that much, because I feel like I found it. You know?
Yeah, that.
And
makes
I can
sense.
live my life the way I'd like to. You know. Not to say I don't appreciate, you know, these religious values. I mean, that's why I have conversations with people, because I see like the value in what they do. I see the value in how they I say they, but I say how people religiously live their lives.
Hmm.
But yeah.
Interesting.
I'm sorry, I don't think that answered your question. I don't even know what your question was.
Wait, let me actually go back. No, you did. You actually did in the first part, and then we kind of diverted.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think makes religion so important to people? Yeah, I think it was answered.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Very interesting, right?
It is. It
Quite.
is. All right.
Okay, what is my question? Shifting the box. This is the topic.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, this is just how I wrote it, so blame my past self. But society as we know it has a norm.
Uh-huh.
Should we shift it?
Shift it.
Yeah. So,
Mm.
did you take statistics?
I did in like high school.
Then this will work perfectly, cause
I
there's a
just have to
minimum, there's a
remember.
there's a minimum, there's a maximum, and then there's the median box.
Yeah.
Upper, lower,
Mm-hmm.
median. So right now we're somewhere. We're somewhere in terms of like. It's funny because no one really knows what the left or right is, but we know there's sort of like a left or right.
Mm-hmm.
I guess in America this would be Democratic Republic.
Right.
But in the general sense, I see the world as good and bad.
Okay.
But we don't really know what is good and bad. Question for another day. But do we shift it like knowing there's this norm, or like should we just let like life kind of auto correct itself in a way?
Ooh, letting life autocorrect.
As in like let things carry out, or do
Oh.
we actively say this is wrong? Can we shift back to this normal view that we've had in the past?
What is normal?
That's it. That's the thing. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Like,
that is a very interesting question. So, the question is: society has a particular norm. Should we shift it?
yes.
Ooh.
Very tricky.
It's a
Very tricky.
Yes, it is a very tricky question. First of all, we have to understand what exactly we're classifying as norm.
Yeah.
Because I think there are probably some things that we can preserve.
Yeah.
And then obviously some things that we probably need to like relook and think and change.
Agreed.
Yeah. If I was to just put it down to that.
Put it down to the basics.
Would you say the same or something different?
I think we right now in a place of like society, we're like trying to be very progressive.
Mm-hmm.
Very forward thinking and getting ahead of it. But I don't know, sometimes I feel like, we need to just take a step back, see what we're doing, learn from the lessons of the past. Yeah, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Just 'cause it's, be careful of how we change things.
Right.
Because we'd never know what like the future could hold for us. Hell, we didn't even see this pandemic coming.
No,
Although some people did. Some people did.
Yeah, but you can't expect us to have known that.
Some people are like, yo, this is gonna happen. Like, we don't have a plan for this. This is gonna happen. But it's interesting. We don't know what will kill us in the future. We don't know what will, make us go into like the next stage. Technology is crazy, but this world as we know it is pretty crazy too.
I totally agree with you in terms of taking a step back and like, rethinking things before.
Yes. Correct. Very correct.
Is it actually recording?
I don't know.
Or maybe we're very quiet.
I am very. I also hold it like around here. I'm trying to keep it a little closer.
I'm just gonna check on the. Is the 30 minutes actually went out? Maybe recording has stopped automatically.
Have we? Has it?
Yeah, it stopped automatically. That's all good. We're continuing.
We are continuing the
like-
questions
Alright.
to be asked.
So
I think that was my one.
it was
So
a very
I think
good one.
it's on you now.
All right. My next question is: will the world be a better place if caste and religion cease to exist?
Caste, yes. Religion, no. Next question.
Wait. Will the world be a better place if caste cease to exist? You said yes to what?
Caste.
And then no. Why would you say yes to caste?
Casteism is a big issue in India. It's literal. It's a loud way to discriminate. People can't marry above or do this below. They can't work in certain places. They can't get certain jobs. I don't know too much about this, but I know a huge issue in India. Like people literally get, I don't know, the worst treatment ever, like humanly imaginable.
Yeah. That's terrible.
Yeah.
And
I mean that whole subtopic of marriage is crazy, but yeah, you can. It is pretty bad.
And then with religion, you say no because.
Because I think religion is ultimately good for humanity.
Interesting.
When our beliefs are solid and we don't get carried away with its values. You know.
Don't get carried away with its values.
Yeah, I mean, I think people tend to impose a lot their values on other people.
They can.
Not just religiously, by the way, like just in general. But yeah, like, you know, I've had like heaps of people just like try convince me to join Christianity.
Wow. Random question. What's that been like for you? Like,
I mean, it's weird. Like, I don't mind having a conversation about it, but it's like, you know, dog. I just don't. I don't see it. I'm not seeing what you're saying. Or not even that. It's just like I just want to live my life now. If I ever feel like I'm at that place, then you know, maybe I'll find a religion, and it doesn't have to be Christianity, which like you're saying, yeah, I'm in like this certain place. But you know, there's a lot of religions that cater to a lot of ways people want to live their life. I don't know, but like religion ultimately good.
Interesting. Yeah. Oh wow. Okay. That's I'm not saying yep for like agreeing at anything. I'm just like, that's very interesting.
Yeah, I mean,
okay, cool.
I think you can still coexist, you know?
Coexist what?
Like, you don't have to be, this is good, this is bad, and then that's why we can't, I don't know.
Oh, like it's okay for people to have, what's the word?
Opposing views.
Yeah. Yep. Interesting. In actual fact, for me to answer that question, will the world be a better place? I think it doesn't make a difference if the world would be a better place will the world be a better place if they were to cease
to exist? So, casteism, religion.
I think they won't be a better place if they ceased.
Caste, sorry.
You know, my initial thought was like it wouldn't make a difference because I do think that like people can say that they're religious, for example, but not actually have a good sense of right or wrong, or like,
yeah,
you know what I mean. So I'm just like, I think that regardless, like I think it comes down to human nature, like, you know, whether we're like, I think inherently we do fail.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Society as a whole, we fail a lot.
We do, we do. So I think
We
that
kind of suck. We're kind of a, a dumb civilization sometimes.
we're intelligent, yes, but sometimes dumb.
Sometimes very dumb. That's why aliens don't want to
Um,
come here.
but I mean, I can understand what you mean by certain, I guess, values that people hold in religion that make society a better place.
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
100% though.
Fascinating.
I agree.
All right, your turn.
Might just jump into this. Is family, is a family still relevant in the modern world?
In the modern world.
Yes.
So, I mean, that is if we are defining that a family is a father, mother, and then children.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Well, that's. Is it still relevant in this modern world?
I might follow that up with another question, but yes, we stick to the family.
I think it's still relevant.
Yeah.
I mean, for the progression of society to have more children, yes.
Population?
Yes, population-wise, yes.
I mean,
And
from an
also,
economic perspective, yes.
yeah, I would say yes. But then you would say, what about science? You can potentially have, like, you could be single, for example, as a woman, and maybe like have a child or
yes,
something
I've
like
seen
that.
I've seen a article on that. I don't know where, but I saw one.
So you could have that argument, but then I think about the importance of having like a father in the home to be able to help raise that child.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say I think both.
I think about it, and
Yeah.
it's not like this is sort of hinting at what the underlying
Mhm.
topic is, but it's more of what the father represents in the family. Do you know what I mean? It's like the father has a role. The mother has a role.
Mhm.
And when you think of your parents, you think of the names, mom and dad,
Mm.
but you also think about what they do.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Their attitudes they bring to the family and their values, or I guess what they do for the family. I think as long as you have a balance of that, then you're fine. Like,
Would you
it's
want
still
to
relevant.
elaborate on that?
I'll try to before trying not to get cancelled. But no, it's not.
So are
I think
you
anything is remotely possible, but the modern world has made for it that it's not possible.
the modern world has made for it that it's not possible to live with. Sorry, I'm trying to complete that.
I'm trying to
Sure.
complete it too. It's tricky. I don't know, but everything has its balance. You know what I mean?
So I'm trying to envision, for example, if there were two females, but one played the role of a mother and the other played the role of a father.
Mm.
Do you still see that as like relevant for a family dynamic?
Yeah, 100%. That's why I'm trying to not to stray. I guess like think about it that way. I'm saying about what the roles represent and what are you doing in that family that makes it such a balanced
Right, I see.
parent relationship.
I can see that. But I wouldn't agree with it to be okay.
Yeah, no,
That's just my
fair enough.
perspective. Yeah.
I still think it's like it just depends on the person, really. I'm not like it doesn't. What I'm saying doesn't account for everything.
Yeah.
It just matters, like is it a balanced view? Is it like are you raising your child like how you'd want to be raised or whatever? Like parentship is very interesting, right? It's like that's why we get so many different people. Like this child was raised to be very open-minded and very curious. That's why they're very open-minded and very curious. This child was raised to be very traditional in his thinking, and protective of his loved ones. So he's protective of his loved ones, and he does this for his family, does that for his family. It's like we have so many different people and so many ways of raising people. So is the family still relevant? Yeah, but like that family in itself and its definition has changed.
Yeah, I think the world is at least trying to change that.
Yeah. Does it make
I
it
guess
still?
I guess we'll see the
I guess
after
we'll
effects
see.
in like 30 to 50 years from now.
Because we have a lot of COVID babies. A lot of COVID babies.
We do. I think we'd probably be able to understand it more fully as to whether it's relevant more then.
Yeah.
Although I do think that some other people might say it's still it's still possible to define whether it's relevant or not because of XYZ, but I know I don't have that kind of stuff to say today.
Yeah, it's a long conversation. Do you mind if I have a sort of follow-up question?
Oh, sure.
It's just off the top of my head.
Mm-hmm.
Is marriage still relevant in the modern
Is marriage
world?
still relevant?
Because it kind of ties into family.
To be honest
Depending.
with you, like, I mean, people who may be watching this already may know that I'm Christian. So I'm kind of seeing things through a Christian lens. There is no, like, word in the Bible that says marriage itself. Hey everyone, it is Sarah here from the future. I just had to interject because I stand corrected. I actually had a conversation with my youngest brother, Caleb, and he pointed out to me in the Bible that it does say marriage. It was quite funny, this whole conversation that we had. But yeah, I was like, oh yeah, I have actually read this verse before, but I didn't even like think about it. I think it's my mindset that I will kind of share about later on. I think you'll get it. But basically in Hebrews 13 verse 4, it says, let marriage be held in honor among all, and let the marriage bed be undefiled, for God will judge the sexually immoral and adulterous. And then also the word wedding is found in the Bible too. So Matthew 22 verse 3 says, the kingdom of heaven may be compared to a king who gave a wedding feast for his son and sent his servants to call those who were invited to the wedding feast, but they would not come. Now, I'm just quoting these verses, but I'd encourage you, whoever you're listening, these verses need to be read in context with everything else that is said around them. I'm just kind of clarifying the fact that I quoted that the Bible does not say marriage, but it actually does say marriage. But yes, what you're about to hear is a verse that I'm about to quote in Genesis, where the Bible says, therefore a man shall leave his father and his mother and hold fast to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. Here it doesn't mention marriage, but here the Bible is talking about unity, or the union that the husband and wife form when they become one, or when they marry together. So this is representative of the unity that Christ Jesus has with the church. More about this in another episode. All I wanted to do is to just clarify. Anyway, this episode is not a lecture, so we are going to be moving on. I do stand by what I am about to say next, particularly around like sex as a covenant to show that you are married, not having that title or a legal document or having just a festive event. So yeah, that's my perspectives.
Oh, really?
Just so you know.
Right.
Yeah.
No. I didn't know
The
that.
Bible just says that the man and woman, the man should be joined to his wife and they will become one. So I think in itself, when people, because God sees sex as consecrated, something that is holy, only meant between a man and a woman. I think in a sense when they become joined intimately like that, that in itself is them becoming one, and in a form it's kind of like marriage, if that makes sense.
The unsigned contract.
Did the what?
The unsigned contract.
Unsigned contract, pretty much.
Yeah.
But you're basically saying that this is my partner and I'm being with you for the rest of my
like I fully agree.
So that's just
marriage
my
in itself is
perspective.
an economic contract.
That's very interesting.
Like you joining banks, legalities. Almost everything. That's why people say prenup, which is, a form of not having, like, if they lose something in their relationship, then they don't lose everything, but they still want to be legally bound. I guess, like, during the marriage, not to the point after the marriage. This is just my understanding of what it is, but
Interesting.
yeah,
I've learned a few things.
prenup is interesting. I don't know too much about it, but it is a form of it without having to lose everything.
Okay.
In the case of a divorce.
Oh, that is so interesting.
But no, because
I
I know people in my life that are like, been together for decades, but they've not signed they're not signed, they're not married,
okay.
but they're still together, which almost gives them that freedom to, like, do whatever, some people just don't see marriage as that important, but some people do, and that's fine.
I think marriage in itself is almost like a public declaration to say
we're together and we will be together forever.
Pretty much. But yeah.
It's fine. Some people are like, I've settled, man. This is like, and like that, it's that layer of commitment. But
Very
to each their own.
Indeed.
To each their own. Sorry, I asked sort of back to back questions.
That's a very deep question.
Yeah.
Kind of. All right, so what question? What are we up to? Is it the third question?
Third or fourth, maybe? Because I asked two, but like I didn't mean to ask that one.
Oh, okay.
So I think I'm on my fourth or fifth.
Okay. Does religious belief need to be rational?
I'm gonna just go off my first thought. No.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Why would you say that?
Because you can't, like, faith in its, like, faith and, like, belief, it's not always understood as what everything is. Kind of like what we talk about a lot of things, and then usually we find a rationale for it. But faith is not always understood in that way. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
Like, I don't know. It's the science that has no science.
The science that has no science. That is so interesting. Okay. I can kind of understand a bit. Of what you're saying.
That's why I'll never be like anti-religious. Like, I mean, maybe I sound like come across that way, but I'm never anti-religious. You know, because religion it's a fascinating thing, man. You like really see it. It's fascinating.
It is quite fascinating. I think yes.
Okay. Ignore everything I said.
Only I think that there are, for example, elements.
Sorry, is it recording?
I think it might still be.
All right, it's good.
Thanks for checking.
Sorry, audience. Just had to verify that. You said yes.
I think there are elements of faith where, like, things might not be able to be explained rationally. For example, certain experiences that people have. But in terms of, like, for example, the reasons why someone believes in what they believe, I do think that
has to be rational.
Yeah, yes. Yes, that's
well,
what
I think that is the rational part, right? It's like I don't even know. I keep thinking of like hypotheticals, but like some people are like, I think this because this has happened in my life. This is a real experience that's happened to me, and the values that are being sort of represented in this religion is what I truly believe. I've come to learn is good for me, and that is ultimately why I'm religious and of this faith.
Mm.
And then you go on some other side and be like, well, what isn't rational or rationalized about this is because you go like we think about like that initial definition of religion, superhuman things. Like you wouldn't think that as rational, would you? For some people, it is.
Well, I think if you just looked at it on its own, it sounds bizarre. But if you were to, for example, take the historical literature
Yep.
and look at it through an evidence-based lens, and to validate the validity of those historical things, and if you were to do that, let's say we took like, I'm just gonna put Christianity on the hot seat. Like if you were to, for example, look at the Bible through like the way that a lawyer would evaluate evidence, for example.
Yep.
And then validate whether the things written in it are false or true, then wouldn't that kind of determine the fundamental beliefs into what people kind of believe about this superhuman God?
Right.
But I don't think that you would only look at hang on a second. Yes,
I'm trying to just understand that. Because from that it sounds like, well, on that basis, what if a lawyer, like in the court of law, had in this hypothetical situation, be like, oh no, actually Jesus didn't turn that water into wine. Was it vice versa? Wine into water? Was it water into wine?
Water into wine. Yeah. So
like what if this court rules he didn't do that? Then they're like, oh well, shoot.
Yeah. So
that's the rational part. It's like, but people still people like still believe that's not quite rational.
It's not rational. So like, yeah. So if we were to put it on a platter, then I guess the fundamental.
But the rational part is believing the lessons behind it, right?
Believing
the lessons behind it?
No, it's more like the claims that were made. So, for example, Jesus claims to be God, and he came into the earth, became a human being, he died, and then he resurrected after 3 days. Right. And so you would kind of look at all those things and say, hey, this person's making these claims. Is there evidence to show that these things are true or not? If they're false, then he's either a liar or a lunatic or like some kind of, I don't know, something wrong.
Yeah.
But if there is evidence to possibly prove his claims, then you have to question everything else said about him. And what does that mean for us?
What does that mean for other religions?
Well,
are they lies?
If there's evidence to prove that what he's claiming is false, then they are probably, maybe one of them are right. If there's evidence that proves that what he's saying is true, then Jesus is basically calling everyone liars.
That's very possible. That sounds like a lot of people today. I mean, a lot of like powerful figures.
A lot of what?
Powerful figures, right? They put themselves on a pedestal where like only they see right and everything else is wrong. Like I'm just thinking of like politicians.
Yeah. I'm not sure if I communicated what I tried to say.
No, anyway, I understand what you mean. Yeah. But I sort of got derailed a bit with, as I tend to do. I see what you mean.
But sorry, the whole underlying thing we were trying to talk about was rationality.
Yeah, for me it's like I see the rational part as the lessons taught. The other belief that can't really be proved per se is like, then that's the unrational part. It's like because we don't have full on I guess, in a way. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Like, all I know is like the rational part is the lessons taught and the belief values that they operate with. That's rational. That's what's gathered from storytelling. Regardless of what you think of that initial claim.
Interesting.
Did that pick it up? Was I
did.
too far? Was I too far away?
I would totally encourage you to check out what evidence there is out there.
I'm sure there's a rabbit hole of it. I'm sure, but I just if someone believes something, I'm not gonna say their truth isn't their truth. Do you know what I mean?
I do understand what you mean, but it depends on what we're talking about.
Well,
when it comes
I'm just in what's reasonable, and what I believe is like the frame of reason of rationality.
Interesting. I feel like this could go into a topic of something else, but okay. Nice. What's your question?
My question is, I don't know what I was thinking when I have this written down. How should you view chance and risk? Minimum likeliness or maximum?
Like maximum likeliness?
Yeah.
Chance and risk.
Yeah. If you're making a decision and the chances of this happening, you're measuring like the risk of like what are the consequences of this, or what could you possibly lose from this? Like, should you go, like, I think this is likely, say it's like 30-70. Should you in like a, this might just be optimistic, pessimistic, but it's more like, do you see it 30% I could lose my job over this. That's a bad scenario. But like, I'm gonna have to split the percentages here. 40% I could gain a pay rise out of this. This is a really weird scenario. But that other, so it's 30, 40, 70, 30 left. 30% is like 30% people dislike me a bit.
Interesting.
So like, should you view it on the 40%, or should you like go on the 30-10, which makes the 40? Oh no, my math is wrong. Is it? So it's 30, 30, 60.
It would be
30, 40, 60. Yeah.
It's been a while since we've done math, so
I know. Clearly
guys,
we are.
If you're in high school right now, just know that doesn't prepare you for work.
Because you're still dumb. You're still literally a donut.
Unless you actually utilize maths on your everyday basis. But anyway.
Basically 60-40. But the chances are like split, right?
They are. I mean, sorry, can you repeat the minimum part in the...
What are the... okay. How should you view chance and risk? Minimum likeliness or maximum?
Damn.
Because there's part of a decision which you could almost like forego, or like, you'd be like, I don't really consider that part a bad thing, although it is a bad thing.
If you were to see it, you're saying how should one look at it?
Yeah.
I think it depends on the circumstance. If the situation if the situation is not detrimental to like life,
yeah,
then I think that you should maybe consider
viewing it as
minimum likeliness, just because there could be like something positive about it or whatever. if it's detrimental to life, then I would say maximum likeliness is probably the way to kind of picture things.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know if
I don't know. It's a strange question. I'm not even sure why I wrote it, to be honest.
it is a
But
very interesting one.
but it's just like, you know, why do we view things optimistic? Why do we view things in a pessimistic way?
Mm.
I just think in some ways we're like protecting the known.
Mm.
'Cause we're scared of the unknown. Everyone's scared of the unknown,
Yeah.
and we like certainty. We do like certainty.
I thought I was the only one. Damn.
No, humans, man.
No,
Humans
yeah,
love certainty.
that's true.
That's why when we're placed in uncomfortable situations, we jump on the defensive a bit, and we be like, oh, what do I know? What I don't? But some things you just can't control, man.
Mm. That's true.
So for me, like personally, I see it as what can you like deal with? If you're looking at that percentage scenario, like I'd probably focus on, I don't know, I'd probably just go with the max. Like what do I know is gonna happen? Like likely gonna happen. And then I'll just be like, oh, if is it worth it? Yes, then I'll do it. Like, but if I feel like it's the percentages aren't in my favor, then like you shouldn't risk something that you could probably go without. But then it brings us back to like that hustler thing. It's like everyone doesn't care about the risk anymore.
Are you sure everyone doesn't care about the risks?
Not everyone, but like, you know how people like, there's a lot of businesses being started up by like young people.
I understand now. Yeah.
I think you can do that, but just think about like, you don't even know what you want in life. Like no one does for a long time.
Yeah.
What was I saying? Yeah, I kind of lost track.
You were talking about, I think, 30, 40, and
30.
yeah, you chose 30, and you were talking about, I think it was to do with how people think in the world and stuff like
Hustlers,
that.
yes. Like
business owners.
Yeah. I don't know.
Damn it. You were onto something,
No,
and I was
I
finding
was.
it so fascinating.
It is fascinating. It is fascinating. But like, if you just do what you can control, like, and if you like really believe this is going somewhere, then trust the time it will take, rather than trying to maximize the risk of it.
Ooh.
Do you know what I mean?
Trust the time as opposed to maximizing the risk.
Yeah.
What if maximizing the risk
Is
yeah
trusting the time?
Like, yeah. What if you need to do that in order to
Well, I
achieve
think the more
something?
time you put in, you feel like the risk is less impactful.
Are you really?
Well, like, if I'm starting a clothing business and I start off selling t-shirts, I'll be like, okay, I made $500 of selling these clothes in a month. Like, okay, I do another month, this could be good. If I put more time in, the risk is less of me earning less because I'm making more. Like I say, I launch jumpers now. Then I'll be like, okay, well, that's another line of risk because you don't know how well the jumpers would perform.
Yeah.
But I know the t-shirts were at least guaranteed sales. So the risk is less,
Yes.
but I'm putting in more time.
Yeah.
So I'm almost like trusting the time more. And trusting what I've known was certain, which was the performance.
Interesting.
It's very tricky. It's very tricky. I don't even know if I'm making sense. Maybe I'm just.
I can
talking out my
understand
ass.
what you're talking about. It's it's just like my mind has to ponder it.
Yeah, but just be like any young business people out there, trust your gut instinct about something, and then if it doesn't work out, at least you learn from it.
Definitely. I think at least in the beginning,
It can
be a
seem daunting.
bit risky.
Yeah,
Like,
it is daunting just doing that first step.
Yeah, But I would definitely encourage anyone to like just take risks in the beginning, and then when you're like in it, then adjust yourself.
Adjust yourself.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Adapt and overcome. Adapt and overcome.
Yeah. Fascinating.
Very.
All right, we'll take a break.
Right. We'll take a fiver. See you after there's ad break.
Yes.
There's no ad, is there?
No. We are back.
Hello.
Yes.
Sorry, did I yell into your ears, audience? Yes, we are back. Yeah, I can start with my definition.
Okay.
So, negative partisanship is the tendency of some voters, so again political, to form their political opinions primarily in opposition to political parties they dislike.
So voters, in layman's terms, please.
So say I'm Labour.
Yes.
I'm not Labour. And there's a national view on this policy. I'm just gonna dislike that and say I don't like that policy because I'm Labour policy. I'm like in Labour Party or whatever.
Okay.
But that's like what it is essentially.
Right.
Like you dislike something just because it's on the other side of it.
That is so interesting.
Sorry, I can't do that. You're not listening to iTunes.
Well, Siri has been uninvited to this conversation, and there we go. Yeah. Anyway, so the question that you're asking...
It's not a question.
Oh, it's just a definition. I find that very interesting.
Yeah.
Almost kind of selfish, though, but yeah.
Yeah, well, it makes sense. Like, I think a lot of policies some people would just agree with. If they just remove the party's association with it. Like, you could almost do, like, a street interview of it. Like, so, Labour has... Like, you could ask a Labour person about a national policy, but say it's a Labour policy.
Oh, my gosh.
And then they'll be like, oh, yeah, I agree with that. It's a national policy.
That's a hilarious experiment. I would love to do that.
Yeah, you'll be surprised. I think a lot of people are like, oh, yeah.
That is so
what?
interesting. Then you question, like, so what do you actually believe? Because, it's like you just believe in the title as opposed to really knowing.
Right.
That's
right?
so interesting. That's funny. That is so funny. Anyway.
Yeah, that was just my statement. I
Political.
thought it's kind of cool to share. Yeah, what's your question?
Oh, yes, my question for you is... My last one is there such thing as of completely objective truth?
Is there such a thing as completely objective truth?
Yeah.
Interesting. Yes.
Interesting. Why would you say that?
First thought is just like science. I don't know, like the ball is gonna drop if I put it down at the side. If I drop it at the side, like it's gonna touch the ground in approximately these seconds. Like objectively, you can say that's true. But what's interesting is science is just assumptions.
Interesting.
Which is something I learned recently.
Science is assumptions.
Yeah.
So it's
you assume
like
things are gonna happen.
Yes, and then you experiment them in order to validate.
Yeah. That's almost on accident. Yeah.
This is so interesting to think about.
Yeah.
Okay.
But no, it's quite. Yeah, it is intriguing to hear that. Sorry, we had an outside disturbance.
Yeah, I was a bit annoyed, so I made a weird face. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's quite good, but like objectively, yeah, there are some truths. It can be fully true. Why? What do you disagree?
Oh no, I totally agree. I think the next question that came up to mind was whether science was the way that you, I guess, get your source of truth or information and stuff? Because I think you used science as an example, so I was just wondering whether you're speaking about it in general or like, oh, could this potentially be your source of truth kind of thing?
Yeah, interesting. A lot of the times it is, but I don't know. I think my approach to a lot of things are scientific in a way, but they're also like it's a combined approach of psychology and philosophical.
The different sciences.
It's a different different sciences, but ultimately scientific.
Yeah.
You got me there.
No, it literally just came up in my mind. I was like, oh yeah, different science. Not that I had anything to say.
But a lot of things are sciences. A lot of things are also art. You know.
True.
In that sense, what is true? What is
interesting?
What is scientific?
What is
what
true?
is artistry?
Yeah. No, yeah, that's very fascinating. No, I mean, I do think that there is objective truth.
Here's maybe a question. Religiously, is there objective truth?
Religiously?
Yeah. Like in a religion, is there objective truth?
In a religion, is there objective truth? I think objective truth exists before you start considering
religion.
Yeah.
So not in a religion.
Wait, I don't know if I'm... Wait, hang on a second.
All good.
For example, like if objective truth exists, then I don't think all the religions can coexist
with their objective truths.
Yes.
Yeah, it almost like counter argues itself.
Kind of. Yeah.
Because not everything can be true.
No. Yes. No. I totally agree about that. Yeah. So yeah.
All right. Well, I think I can go on to my
like,
next thing.
I don't know if you're similar to me in a sense, like you've got like this thing that you have in your mind that you want to communicate, and it's like very big picture or like detailed, but then like when you try and speak in words,
it's just gibberish.
Like, yeah, exactly.
You're like,
exactly. It doesn't do justice to what you're thinking.
Yeah, it's hard, right?
Anyway, that's the problem of deep thinkers like ourselves.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I don't know. That's why sometimes I just go off in tangents and they're like, what are you talking about? We were just talking about something else the other day. Or like just a second ago. And then you're talking about this. I'm like, I'm sorry. I can't help it.
It's funny. No, it's very interesting. Anyway, going back to your question. What is your...
Oh, it's not a question.
Oh, sorry, a statement.
Le statement. When we focus too much on I can't say that word. When we focus too much on individualities, we lose sight of our greater good. Food for thought.
Definitely food for thought. Did you make up that statement?
Yes.
Wow.
Something like that.
Which kind of brings me to my closing.
Do you want to ask that after we?
No, I'll ask this now because
right.
this is.
Go ahead.
I guess my question now, not question, it's more like, could you please share with people what you like to do? Like, for example, the fact that you came up with a statement like that probably came through pondering. And I remember us having a conversation in the past about how important it is to maybe think about
things.
These big philosophical things and actually allocate time for that. So I was like, could you talk a little bit about what you do?
I don't know. I think I trust my mind. And I trust what I feel. That it's good for me to think about what I'm thinking about right now.
Mm.
When I'm working, I trust my mind to work, you know, like work and do this, and this, and I can get my work done. And when I'm not in the mood, I'm like, okay, well, I just can't do this. So when I think, like, I really just stay in that process, but I don't push it. Like, I just trust that the thoughts that come to me, it's gonna lead somewhere. Like, I trust, what I see. And it takes a lot, like, to, I guess, get out of that mindset. Or even get into, you can't force a mindset.
True. Yeah.
So, it's a lot of, like, in terms of, like, what gets me there, it's often just, like, memories or, like, a form of art or, like, a thought that provokes another thought. And then I just kind of stay in that zone. And then that's where these kind of thoughts come. And, like, I have to write it down, otherwise I'll forget. And then I think I'll kick myself. Gonna be like, what was that thought?
Yeah.
So you've heard of, like, shower thoughts, right?
Shower thoughts. Yeah.
Yeah. So I get a lot of those, but also just, like, I don't know. Those things come to mind, and then, like, I move from, like, my thoughts to what other people's thoughts are, and then what they are seeing, what I'm seeing. I'm very observant.
That is so interesting.
And then it just, like, spans out.
Wow. So, when you're in one of those moments, are you in the, like, how long are you in those moments for?
I mean, I guess a few hours. But my day is operating, like, completely normal. It's just I'm just, like, deep in thought.
Wow.
But I don't know. I think I encourage anyone to just, like, it sounds dumb, but go a little crazy. You know, like, go a little crazy and figure out. No, don't even figure out. Just experiment with your thought process.
Where your mind goes.
Yeah.
That is
Because I think it's so beneficial. You'll find out things that are, like, surprising about yourself.
Wow.
I'm not saying taking drugs is the solution. That's a topic for another day.
Yes. So just to clarify, you're
No
not
drugs.
taking drugs when you're doing that.
I am not taking any drugs.
Oh my gosh. That is so cool. Like, I find that really fascinating, and it's just, yeah. I don't have anything else to say about that. So,
yeah,
thank you
that's
for
the
sharing that.
That's all good. That's the end message, you know. Be curious, be open-minded, experiment safely. And yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us on this podcast, and everyone, thank you so much for listening. And we will see you in the next episode. That's it from us.
Goodbye.
Bye. Oh my God.